Hey guys, my mom and I went to see Sea of Monsters yesterday and I just kind of wanted to talk about it a little bit. The first part, I'm going to give spoiler-free review of it, and then I will launch into stuff that you won't want to watch if you haven't seen the movie or read the book. So, I didn't go into this movie expecting a lot because while I enjoyed the first movie a lot when I first saw it, having not read the book at the time, after reading the book I realized how many things they changed, and it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't amazing, and it wasn't as good as it could have been. So I kind of expected that from Sea of Monsters, although I had heard that they planned to stay more original, like more to what the book had in it. That was what I heard, and according to some people on IMDb, they think that they did that. I personally think that the first movie was a lot more true to the book than the second one. I was ultimately pretty disappointed, not because the movie was really bad in my opinion. I think that if I hadn't read the books, I would have probably really enjoyed it. When we went into the movie, I had finished 2/3 of the book because I had been a little slow in my reading, and after watching the trailer, I kind of had a feeling that the movie was going to be so different from the book that it wasn't going to really matter that much, and I was right. Basically, they just changed so many things that they didn't need to, and my ultimate sum up spoiler-free review is this. They took the main premise of the book, put that into the movie, and then changed everything else. I would give the movie a 4 out of 10 because I was just really disappointed in the fact that they could have kept so much truer to the book, and they didn't. So that's my spoiler-free review. After this, everything I say is going to have spoilers, so if you haven't read the book and or seen the movie, you will want to stop watching now and come back after you have watched the movie. So for starters, Tyson. Right off the bat, Tyson is all wrong. Not only is the character wrong, but just the whole story is. I heard people say that because the first movie didn't put him going back home, they couldn't have continued the second one, having him come from home where he's already met Tyson and become really good friends with him. But I don't really see why between the two movies, Percy couldn't have possibly been at home, where he met Tyson, became friends with him, brought him back, and that's how the story is. But no, instead, Tyson's this like intelligent, super intelligent guy who finds them because their dad helps him, and it's like their dad's playing favorites with him, which isn't in the book either. So he gets there and he already knows him, he knows all of this stuff, he's like super smart, and he already knows he's Poseidon's son, and Percy's really iffy about him because they haven't already developed that bond. And I mean, I know Percy's kind of ashamed of him being his brother in the book, but they're already friends too, so I don't know, it kind of just threw things off a little bit. I kind of enjoyed the character of Tyson in the movie, don't get me wrong, I did kind of like his character. It's just the fact that they changed him so much and it wasn't really necessary. I feel like it was just more like, oh, let's put this intelligent, cute guy in the role and it'll attract more teen girls or something, I don't know, but it really didn't fit with the book. Then, obviously, off of that, there's the fact that Percy's already at camp, which is not how it was supposed to be. And then the whole fight scene, if I'm not mistaken, in the book, wasn't Tyson solely responsible for shaking the bulls down? Whereas, of course, they make Percy the hero in the movie because Percy always has to be the hero. And Percy's great and all, but he's not necessarily always the only one that does anything right. Then, there's the whole thing with Chiron. He is supposed to go away because that's what happens in the book, because he's kind of suspected, because he's Kronos' son. But no, in the movie he stays. And as much as I love Anthony Stewart Head, it's like he's not supposed to be there throughout the whole thing. He's supposed to be shipped away. And they kind of made Mr. D take on both roles, him and Tantalus. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but kind of the like extra mean for that, but at the same time, I don't know, it just kind of just wasn't right. And I'm glad that they brought Mr. D in finally, because he should have been there from the beginning. And I feel like they kind of were like, oh, we're going to like add these things in that were in the first book into the second movie, and that'll make everything okay. We'll make Annabeth blonde. We'll have the Oracle and the prophecies, and we'll bring in Mr. D. And I'm just sitting there thinking that's not how it is in the second book. That was the first book. And it's not really going to make up for everything else that you decided to change. Then another thing from the beginning, they show Grover, like right off the bat. He's there at camp with them. Why is he at camp? He's been kidnapped from the get-go. He's gone from the very beginning of the book, and that is part of the fuel of Percy leaving in the first place. Obviously, they need the fleece to help Thalia, but they also need to save Grover and all those dreams. I feel like, even though I haven't read past the second book, like that kind of soul tie that Grover and Percy end up getting from him connecting them in the dreams is probably important and might come back later, and they just totally left that out of the movie. So if that ends up being important in later books, they're kind of going to be doomed on how to fix that in later movies if they even are able to make movies after this one, because I've heard that it's not doing the greatest. So apparently I heard that they did that with Grover because they thought that little kids weren't going to be able to handle Grover being gone for the first half of the movie or something, but I really think they would have been okay. I mean, a lot of comparisons between Percy Jackson and Harry Potter, like the ages, if they would have done that right, that would have worked. There are times when characters aren't around. It just happens, and kids can deal with it because, I mean, if they could deal with it in the book, why can't they deal with it in the movie? The whole character of Clarice was wrong. Obviously I didn't expect them to cast some hideous person, but at the same time, they kind of talk about Clarice having this certain look about her that doesn't really scream haughty to me. And gorgeous young woman who is possibly even prettier than Annabeth is there being Clarice. And I'm just kind of like, what? That's not right at all. There were just a lot of scenes that were very not accurate, and they were changed in ways that didn't need to be changed. They went to locations that they didn't go in the book. Instead of locations that they did go, they left a bunch of characters out, changed characters. They left out almost every single monster, which I don't understand why they did that. I understand obviously you have to cut some of it because of movie length, but they didn't have to cut that much. And I felt like it kind of cut a lot of good scenes simply to keep putting over the top action that wasn't in the book to make Percy look even cooler. Like the scene where he's riding the wave, that doesn't happen. That's not at all how the book goes. And then Luke's there, he's like walking on it, like he's not the son of Poseidon. Why is he doing this? Why is he able to do this? I don't understand. And I love Nathan Fillion, and I'm kind of glad that they cast him as Hermes, honestly. That was one of the best parts of the movie for me. And the reference to shows getting canceled, so Firefly, that made me happy. That was probably my favorite part in the whole movie, if that tells you something. And I was glad that they included George and Martha, but then they totally changed that whole thing, and it was kind of comical, but it wasn't right, you know? And also that whole thing happened in a UPS store instead of at Camp Half-Blood, and I don't really understand that. The escape from Camp Half-Blood was supposed to be kind of dangerous a little bit because, you know, the Harpies come after you if you're trying to escape, and because of Tantalus is there and he's kind of threatened Percy and all of that stuff, and I don't really know why that scene couldn't have just happened on the beach at Camp Half-Blood, and Hermes comes and helps him and all his friends come, even with Grover there. Grover could have come too, and then that's where I don't know how to say it, but the horse fishes come and give them a ride out to the cruise ship, not the yacht. They left out all the zombie passengers. Well, not zombies, but the people that were kind of zombie-like. And let's talk about the Cronus. That's not right at all. Like, I think they added that in to just kind of be over the top and to add some more action or something. I'm not really sure, but that seems to have been a deal breaker for a lot of people. And I think that the people that made the movie are probably going to really regret adding that, because that wasn't even just something that they altered over the top. They added it in, totally not in the book at all. And it made a lot of people pretty angry, it seems like. And it was just kind of ridiculous. It's like, oh, we're going to raise him up and he's going to be here for like 5 minutes in a ridiculously easy fight, and he's going to eat Luke and Grover, but then when Percy cuts Kronos down the center, everything's going to be fine. It didn't make any sense at all, and it was unnecessary. Okay, and then going back to speaking of the prophecies and the oracle, that prophecy that Percy got, I still have about 30 pages left of the book, but considering that the adventure is already over, unless I missed something, that prophecy was totally made up and didn't even happen. So that was another not even close, just totally decided to totally alter, completely change the whole idea there, and I'm not really sure why. I guess obviously they couldn't really use the prophecy from the first book because everything's different now, and that was subject to everything that happened in the first book. But there wasn't a prophecy specific to this adventure. There's a big prophecy, not the way that they put it in the movie. So basically, those were the biggest things that bothered me. What really upsets me is the fact that I understand things have to be changed to be put in a movie. Obviously, some things have to be altered. That happens in every book to movie adaptation. But there are movies that are really close and really follow it. I never saw a Harry Potter movie and thought that they did a horrible job trying to follow the storyline of the book. Everything that they changed, I felt, was probably something they needed to change. But in the Percy Jackson, it's basically, so far, they're taking the main idea and transplanting that into a movie. And I don't understand why Rick Riordan is letting them do that. I know that the rights to his movies were purchased, but I would, as a writer, I would be expecting to see what their plans are and how true to my books they're planning to be, because these movies almost don't even seem like they're based on the books. They could change the characters' names and it could almost be an entirely different story. So I think that the movie would have been really great for someone that hasn't seen or that hasn't read the books, because my mom really enjoyed it and she enjoyed the first one a lot too. But I don't know, I think it's really sad that they butcher up a book so much to make it into a movie when they could have really done it right. So that's my review for Sea of Monsters. I will be reviewing the book really soon as I read the last 30 pages, and that's all for now. Bye!